one of you sees something wrong, let her change it with his hand. If he can't, let him speak out against it. If he can't, then let him hate it in his heart. That's the lowest level of faith. So we should see ourselves civically as full participants in this American political project. And we should see ourselves as having the right to critique, to criticize, and to correct. Not for the sake of criticism, but for the sake of the common good of all of the people we share this land with. And we should understand that all of this garbage that you see online about Darul Islam and Darul Harb, why is it garbage? Because those concepts emerged from a world where there was not universal citizenship. They emerged from a world, in our context, not in every context. So don't blog me up. Imam Zaid, classical Islamic political terms are garbage. But when you come to America, where everyone has the right of a full and equal citizen, where everyone's religion is respected, unless we create the conditions for it to be disrespected, then concepts that were related to a world that was sharply demarcated along denominational lines, where you could not travel as a Muslim to Europe, except under specific right of passage and protection. That's not the same world. Because when you are a citizen, you have the same, as a Muslim, you have the same rights as a Christian. You have the same protection under the law as a Christian. You have the same constitutional rights as a Christian. Your religion is entitled constitutionally to the same degree of respect as any other religion. And that's why we can freely assemble. That's why, even though there are definitely clear wrongs perpetrated against Muslims, we can seek redress from the government. And we can sue the government. And we can have our suits heard and advanced in a court of law on equal footing. That is not the same world. And we have to understand that. Because if we don't understand it, then we help to create the conditions that will bring those medieval terminologies and the mentalities that were associated with them to this land. And we won't be able to gather like this. You didn't have to go to Mukhabarat, that's the secret police, to get a permission to have Muslims gather in Binghamton, New York. You didn't have to come here under the protection of an armed escort to be here to gather freely. We come here freely and assemble because it's a constitutional right that we demand to be respected. And sometimes that's part of America too. Sometimes you have to demand your rights. Because there periodically are people who, if you don't demand them, protect them, and defend them, will take them away. One of our great American patriots, Frederick Douglass. And he was a patriot because he gave his life, he dedicated his life towards the creation of a more perfect union. One of the things Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. So brothers and sisters, if you think the people in power are trying to slowly marginalize Muslims and chip away at our rights, then as a community we're going to have to stand up like those communities who preceded us and demand our rights. And that's part of America. I'm not saying it's a frat house. Some people say America's like a frat house. If you're in college, you can understand a frat house going on. Not me. know about frat houses. They have hazing rituals, right? You know about this hazing rituals. So some people advocate frat house America. Everyone that comes to America, you know, they have to get hazed. It'll pass. No, this is not a frat house. No one should get hazed. Native people, African American, Chinese Americans who were at one time on the West Coast. You think Muslims have it bad? There was a time Chinese were being shot in the street like dogs. 18 in one day. Seattle, Washington, parts of California. Japanese Americans interned in concentration camps in Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, some of the harshest, most inhospitable places in this country. But they demanded their rights. They resisted. They wanted to add insult to injury to have Japanese Americans sign up to fight in a war to defend a country that had put them in concentration camps. And there was a resistance movement. The Japanese saying, heck no. They said, heck no, but they're young children in here. They said, heck no, we won't go. They resisted and demanded full protection from the law. The country would apologize to them and pay reparations because they demanded. And so that's part of what America is all about. It's about demanding one's rights when there are malicious and pernicious forces who are trying to usurp those rights. So if we feel that climate evolving in this country, it's not time to run away. It's not time to do something rash, irresponsible, and stupid that will only lead to greater persecution of Muslims all over the globe. It's time to stand up and challenge the system and demand what Allah Ta'ala has given us when in His wisdom He brought us here as Muslims. Educating our children involves instilling a sense of pride in them. I'm sure when we saw the young people here reciting so beautifully 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the chapters of the Quran, not small chapters, more lengthy or less lengthy chapters, reciting more lengthy chapters. We shouldn't call the Quran small, that'd be lettering is big. But reciting more lengthy chapters of the Quran, we saw pride in their eyes. It's our responsibility in educating them to preserve that sense of pride. For Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَكِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. That the honor is for Allah and His Messenger and the believers, and it's the hypocrites that realize it not. So part of the educational challenge is instilling that sense of pride. And when our children are proud to be Muslims, they're not going to abandon their religion when they meet the bully in high school, or when they find themselves immersed in the kind of political climate we currently find ourselves immersed in. That pride will only make a person more proud and more willing to stand up. الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسُ إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمْعُوا لَهُمْ فَاخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Those who, when it was said to them, the people are gathering against you, therefore fear them. So it said fear them. فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. It only increased them in their faith. وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. They said, Allah suffices us. What an excellent one to depute our fear to. Allah has your back, brothers and sisters. And we have to instill this in our children. They understand that language. If you say, Allah is watching over you, they might not get it. But if you say, listen, Allah has your back. Oh, okay. Allah's got your back. Young Muslims, Ibrahim when he was thrown in the fire. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah suffices us. So if we feel we're in the fire a little bit, just say Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Say it, mean it, internalize it to the depth of your being, and you'll know everything's going to be all right because Allah has a plan. And brothers and sisters, each and every one of us are part of the plan that Allah Ta'ala has. But we have to internalize that in our being. We have to be proud of it. And that has to be an integral part of our education. We can't expect that this is something that's just going to drop out of the sky. It's through these songs, through bringing people together, bringing the hearts together. It's through relating the struggles of those who preceded us, not only in this land, but those from our Muslim Ummah. And we shouldn't be ashamed of having a sense of Ummah. Every year, on October 12th or thereabouts, what do the Italians have? Columbus Day parade, right? They're proud of it. Try to take the Columbus Day parade from the Italians. You get a fight. I call in the mafia on you. You're in trouble. The Italians, I apologize. Vito. Listen, you have a problem. You're not taking the Columbus Day parade from the Italian community. You go out there, you see your red, white, and green flags everywhere. What does Columbus have to do with America? That's part of their wider Italian heritage. That they didn't leave at Ellis Island or JFK Airport. They brought it with them. And there's nothing wrong with that. And Muslims have to learn there's nothing wrong having a sense of ummah. There's nothing wrong with having a sense of belonging to our wider ummah. We have a lot of brothers and sisters here from Kurdistan. There's nothing wrong with being proud to be a Kurd and having a sense of attachment to the beautiful mountains of Kurdistan in the springtime when the flowers are blooming and the rains are over and the grass is green and the sky is so blue. SubhanAllah. Brothers getting ready to pack up and go back. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we accept our civic responsibilities here. We should have a Kurdistan Day parade. They have a Turkish Day parade. Everyone come and eat your nice homemade. Imam Qasim's wife will book us up. Have our doner kebab. Have our dana kebab. We have our manti and we'll have our burek. And we'll have some nice Turkish food, nice Afghan food. We'll have our ash and our bulani and Bevinjan burani. And we'll have some nice kabuli. And we'll have beef bulani with the leek. And we'll have potatoes also. Potato bulani. We'll have a nice cocoa. We'll have our African American Muslim food. All you do just take is simple. How do you make African American soul food? Halal. You just take the fat back out, you get some halal sheep or something, put it in the collard greens, take the lard out of the cornbread, get some vegetable shortening. The macaroni and cheese is already straight. Just make sure, but the key though, listen, it's not real soul food if when you, the macaroni and cheese, you take the fork and you hit it, it has to sound like this. And the cheese has to be crispy on top. Not the stuff they get in the deli like. No, that's fake. That's, you need, that's it. Soul food. So we'll have some of that too. We got some brothers and sisters hook us up in that regard. And we have a big cultural festival where we celebrate the universality of the Muslim community. But that universality does not negate